Welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today, because we're looking at something you probably walk past every single day without realizing its immense power. We're not just talking about interior decorating here. No, we're talking about the secret, psychological language of office art. Whether you're sitting in a corner executive suite or a high-powered law firm, the walls around you, they're doing a lot of heavy lifting before you even utter a single word to your clients.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to genuinely ask yourself, what is your office art saying about your fees? Picture it. A client is sitting in your waiting room right before a major meeting. They're looking around, and honestly, whether they realize it or not, they're already forming expectations about the quality of advice they're about to get. The environment you've created, it either confirms the premium prices you charge, or it quietly, subtly undermines them. Let's figure out how to make sure your walls are actually working for you.
So, Section 1, the silent language of art. Let's decode the signals in your workspace.
The core idea we're tackling in this explainer is that every single object in an executive office is read as a deliberate signal by your clients. The desk says something, the chair says something, and the art on the walls absolutely says something. The only question is, did you deliberately choose what it's saying? Office art is really a psychological tool. Its main job is to signal authority without being ostentatious. It needs to communicate substance, permanence. Overly decorative or super brightly colored art, it actually reads as insecure, whereas understated, substantial pieces read as confident. Think about it. If you have an unresolved wall, like a tiny piece of art floating on a massive blank space, it visually communicates an unresolved decision. And an unresolved decision is literally the exact opposite of what your clients are paying top dollar for. Generic art just signals a failure of imagination, right in a context where your imagination and expertise are exactly what's on the table.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the physical materials you use instantly communicate your standards. Look at the left side here, a premium canvas or an aluminum print in a really solid frame. That instantly tells a client, hey, this person chooses quality. Now look at the right side. A cheap poster in a thin, flimsy frame basically screams, yeah, they didn't really bother. Physical materials instantly show the level of care a professional puts into their business. If you're cutting corners on your own environment, your client is subconsciously going to wonder, wait, are they cutting corners on my work too?
Moving on to Section 2, designing the executive suite and its 3 psychological pillars. In high-level rooms, artwork has a really specific job. It must give the eye a resting point without demanding constant engagement. And here are the 3 pillars you absolutely need to master to pull that off. First up is scale. Notice the specific dimensions here, 30 by 40 or 36 by 48 inches on a feature wall. Going large like that reads as confident, it's decisive. Second is material. Like we just talked about, premium canvas or sleek aluminum reads as high quality. And third, restraint. One strong, carefully chosen piece is vastly superior to 5 competing smaller ones. Seriously, trying to fill every single wall is actually the opposite of what executive spaces need to project power. Restraint signals taste.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this highly practical matrix. It maps exact styles and sizes to specific industries, and look at how targeted this is. Abstract art in neutral tones. That works across almost any executive office, provided it's large enough and actually has some real visual weight to it. Black and white photography is perfect for law, finance, or corporate settings because it reads as serious and internationally minded. If you're in consulting or international business, a large vintage cartographic map communicates intellectual breadth and historical perspective. It's great. And for a corporate HQ, a custom steel sign shows you thought carefully enough about your identity to render it permanently in metal. That is a totally different signal than throwing up a printed banner.
All right. Section 3, Framing the Law Office, a specialized brief. Legal environments have incredibly specific demands. Standard, off-the-shelf artwork often completely fails to deliver the right message in these highly sensitive spaces. Authority, tradition, precision. Everything on a law firm's wall must reinforce these exact 3 tenets. If it's not reinforcing them, it is actively working against them. There is absolutely no room for anything playful, brightly colored, or informal in a space that requires immense trust and deals with very serious consequences.
So, how do we physically manifest authority, tradition, and precision? Well, here are some actionable strategies. First, dark framing. Think dark timber or black metal is essential. It's structural, not just decorative, and it adds that necessary visual weight a legal environment craves. Thin, light frames just read as way too casual. Next, consider profession-specific art. A precision die-cut scales of justice, maybe as a steel cutout in a black powder coat, that communicates professional identity perfectly. You could also use legal quote prints, but they absolutely must feature considered typography so they look scholarly. And finally, black and white local city photography is incredibly powerful for establishing community ties, which carries serious weight for clients dealing with local matters.
And speaking of that profession-specific art, I really want to highlight this number, $95. That is the starting price for a custom, precision, die-cut, steel scales of justice cutout. It is surprisingly accessible to have genuinely uncommon, permanent, and profession-specific art. Almost no wall art supplier makes these specific pieces for law firms, which means having one right above your reception desk makes your firm highly distinctive, and you don't even have to break the bank.
Okay, Section 4, the personal workspace. Bold choices for the personal office.
Let's move to and see how this builds for personal workspaces, home studios, or private offices. Here, the strategy shifts slightly. You want to reflect individual personality and interests, but you still have to maintain that underlying professional authority. On the left side here, we see the absolute requirements for a personal studio. Large, bold, and substantial. We're talking deep abstracts in charcoal, navy, or raw umber, stark black and white cityscapes, or even precision steel golf silhouettes. These choices read as incredibly confident. Now contrast that with the right side, smaller, softer, decorative pieces. Those just read as incidental, almost like you didn't really mean to put them there. In a personal workspace, you've got to make bold, commanding choices to reflect a confident individual.
Which brings us to Section 5, the expensive mistake. What undermines an entire office?
We're talking about the common, catastrophic errors that can instantly ruin all the careful signaling and psychological groundwork we've just discussed. Here are the glaring red flags you absolutely must avoid. First up, art that's too small. A 16 by 20 print on a massive 10-foot reception wall literally screams placeholder. Executive spaces consistently need larger art than your initial instinct might suggest. Second, mixed frame finishes across the same floor. This just signals inconsistency. Third, and guys, this is a big one, motivational posters. Let's be crystal clear. In a law firm or executive office, motivational posters signal that motivation is a question, or worse, a problem. Just avoid them entirely. Fourth, avoid abstract art without clear structure or a defined palette. If it looks like filler, it is actually worse than having no art at all. And finally, never, ever ignore the frame quality.
So the crucial point is summarized perfectly by Tricia Clark, the founder of Brezen. She says, "The most expensive mistake I see in executive offices is good art in the wrong frame. A $200 aluminum print in a premium floating frame reads as premium. The same print in a $15 supermarket frame reads as $15. The frame isn't just a border, you guys. The frame is the physical statement of exactly how much care went into the piece. In a professional space, the art and the frame are one single object. If you use flimsy wood-look plastic or thin chrome profiles, you are completely undermining the artwork in your office."
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. Your walls are talking. Did you choose what they're saying? I want you to take a hard, objective look at your own workspace today. The scale of your art, the materials you've chosen, the thickness of your frames, these objects are silently broadcasting a message about your authority, your quality, and ultimately, your fees. Use the rules we walk through today to take control of that message. Build a space that commands the exact respect your expertise demands. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope you leave feeling totally inspired to transform your walls.